maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, we are divided on this question.
Okay, I don't want to break up the band. Sorry.
Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Belgian Jasper. If this is your first time in the channel, hit subscribe right now.
Running free, running forever. I never stop, never look back.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. We've got almost the full band here with us today, which is really exciting. We are days away from, as we're recording this, we're days away from the release of the new album. And I'm just going to stroke all of your egos real quick to get us started, which I promise you I don't do every conversation. But, you know, I liked your previous album and EP. I love this new album. The things that I liked about your sound before, I think have been, you know, have accelerated or have become a bigger part of the sound. So I really think it's a great album. I had a chance to listen to the full album already. This is one of those albums where I really expect today already that will make a lot of album of the year lists from a lot of people. So really, really well, job well done.
Thank you.
And no, you're most welcome. You're most welcome. When things change in bands, we have Joakim here, who is newer to the band. You've released a lot of singles already, so you were able to get a good gauge already of how, you know, the fans react. Come back to that in a little bit later about the different singles, but we're seeing a lot of positive reviews and a lot of positive reactions to the music. For a band like you guys who start to get good momentum and then the world shuts down and you kind of live in this weird way for a number of years, you make changes to the band and a little bit to the sound as well. Seeing these positive reactions come in, that must make you feel good and, you know, calm a little bit. Is it now a time to calm down, or are you like just super jazzed for the release coming out in a few days?
I think it's actually like the opposite way around. Like now when people are really getting into it, now it means that we need to step up a bit and, like, you know, need to put in the second gear or third gear or whatever, like try to really push forward now, which is also really, really nice and fun. But it's, you know, we're booking like lots of tours and for like, supporting the album. So yeah, it's gonna take more of our time basically, which is great.
Yeah. And rediscovering maybe some of these songs, because obviously, you know, the fans are listening to them for the first time now, but some of these songs for you've been, you know, working or recording these songs for years.
You always have like kind of like a little bit of a feeling first time you perform them live. After a long time since you record them, it feels like you're doing someone else's song, like a cover almost.
Yeah.
Oh, take me
There's a continuation of certain sounds. I think, you know, the singles that you released in between albums, you went down a path of a little bit more melody and harmony. A lot of people started, you know, seeing callbacks to the NWOBHM era. With the addition of Joakim, you know, with Arnau and Joakim playing together, this takes more of a front seat, even especially in the opening of the album. And we've got, what is it, On Time, obviously a single already released, but also The Taker, songs where that vibe really comes from. I know you had to do this before all by yourself. Now you've got Joakim supporting you. Was this always kind of where you wanted to take the sound?
Well, the first idea of the band was to just have like one guitar and bass, and but then at some point we started writing songs that just sounded better with two guitars. Like when we released the singles in between albums, Moving On and Windbreaker, I basically recorded two guitars for that. And I was like, well, this sounds better with two guitars. And then we were all great friends with Joakim from before, so we're like, well, it would be fun if he joins the band and stuff. And yeah, it's very liberating as a guitarist to have that compenetration, basically.
Yeah,
it's almost like, especially the first EP, I think all of us are like playing so much and like over singing and overplaying and like, look at me. But like now when there's 5 of us, it's almost like we're playing less. I mean, you learn as well on the way, but it's really nice. It's nice to have someone new as well. You can bounce new ideas off of, and someone with fresh ideas and a little bit of different sounds as well. So thank you for that, Joakim.
Welcome.
Before we continue down that path, actually, but you mentioned something there, Charlotte. You know, not trying to overdo things and maybe in some way simplify. You take this to almost an extreme with one of the standout songs, Sundown, where you completely strip down your sound in the most fragile ways, maybe, where you just sing in almost acoustic song. Is a song only really good when it can be played or just be sung by one person? Is that a lesson that you've learned, that you were too ambitious as you were getting started? Was that just finding out your sound?
I think that it's always really cool when you can strip down a song to like the bare essentials, obviously. But then again, it's even cooler when you add electric guitars and electric basses and drums. And like, you know, if less is more, then think about how much more is.
I mean, it's kind of like a little bit like some of the Black Sabbath albums. You know, you have those kind of jazzier, slower songs as well. It's a really cool. Yeah, so it's a nice way of just doing it. Like we try to incorporate a few different things this time. Like I don't know, it's like Spanish guitar as well. There are some of that, and like just like a few different things. We're just like trying to be true to ourselves, basically.
Yeah. I mean, now that you mentioned Black Sabbath, we have to obviously also mention the what is it? On Top of Evil, where, you know, people definitely were listening to Children of the Grave when you were writing that song. So I see several people smiling right now. Are you all big Sabbath fans, or is it one person in particular that kind of injects that into the group?
I think we're all big fans, right?
When you look at the evolution of the music so far, a lot of people were saying when the band first came out, like, oh wow, there's like, you know, great influences like late 60s, early 70s psychedelic, and now people are much more talking about like later 70s, early 80s, those harmonies and melodies. And we already mentioned the NWOBHM, but I think just as much Wishbone, Ash, or Magnum, especially Kingdom of Madness era. Seeing that your sound kind of evolves a decade every album. So next album, pure black metal from late 80s, or what should we expect?
Only power metal. And
Only power metal, good.
Yeah.
Joakim, as you join the band, and then you get to add your creativity to that, or at least that extra layer and depth to the sound. What's that like with a band, and this still, let's call it an early stage of the band, where this is the second and third albums tend to be those albums where a band truly finds its sound. So what was that experience for you coming in? You know, I think Arnau already mentioned that you all knew each other and were friends, but joining a band that is defining its sound, that's a special time to join a band. So what was that experience like for you?
It was very natural, actually, because like you said, we were really good friends, and I was a fan of the band before. I saw them live a couple of times, and then we share the same influences. We like to listen to the same music when we hang out, so it like felt very natural to write together as well.
Yeah. Okay. Those influences. I mean, I mentioned a few names before. I mean, Black Sabbath came out, but you know, I mentioned like Wishbone Ash or Magnum, it's kind of, or Old Magnum, but I kind of feel coming out of it. It's definitely obviously on NWOBHM, but am I completely off here, or are those some of the key influences? What would you say? What music would you put on when the band's like, you know, in a van on road to either a beach shooting a music video or a concert?
Yeah, no, it would be something like that, like the old classics, a lot of Iron Maiden, a lot of UFO. I think we're talking about a lot for this album. So it's late 70s NWOBHM.
Yeah. Okay.
I think Judas Priest is like one of the staples that we also play a lot, like early Judas Priest.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so maybe a difficult question to Dev, but what is your favorite Judas Priest album of all time, and why is that Sad Wings of Destiny?
Turbo.
Yeah, Having to Destiny is obviously the best one. But apart from that one, I would say Point of Entry is a really nice one because it's got that like kind of hot rocking era, which is yeah, it's been a bit of an influence for us, I think.
Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, we are divided on this question.
Okay, I don't want to break up the band. Sorry, let's focus back on the Riven
Hey,
itself.
they're all good.
Yeah.
There you go.
I will go until my eyes are numb.
There's a question that I've asked a couple of other Swedish acts recently, and love to get your opinion on this. If we look at yourselves, but we also look at bands like Witchcraft and Blue Spills and Hälsingland Underground, and we also then see bigger or like more mainstream acts like First Aid Kit and now Ghost as well. There's a lot of bands coming the last 15 years out of Sweden that are heavily inspired by the 70s era. A lot of bands specifically inspired by Californian Americana as well, which is great to see that there's so many cool bands going. What is it specific with Swedes that are so attracted to this era of pop culture?
I think. Can I answer?
Of course.
I think being a rather small country, obviously we've always had our own music scene, but it's not been really big. Like Swedish, I think the culture in Sweden, like in the 60s and 70s, we took in a lot of the music from UK and America. Mm-hmm. So like our parents started listening to that, and then we're kind of brought up on that as well. I mean, we never dub anything on TV. You take the TV show straight in. We take a lot of culture, we import a lot of culture, which means we probably grew up with it, and then at the other end of it, we then export it back because, take it in, you rework it, and then you give it back, kind of thing.
Yeah. I think as well as it's a bit of a reaction against like modern music in a sense as well, like the whole 70s nostalgic vibe. Because I mean, we have a lot of like really good like Swedish death metal bands, and metal bands, and new metal bands and whatnot, and that's super cool, obviously. But it's also nice to play on like tube amps and make it a bit more organic.
For this release specifically, another thing that you kind of adopted of bands in like late 60s and the 70s is heavily focused on singles in the build up to an album. And you've released, I think, 5 singles for this album. There's only a few songs left on the album that the fans haven't heard yet. We're seeing this happen also much more in mainstream music now, where albums almost to an extent become collections of singles of the last 2 years and what have you, and move on. Is that a conscious decision for you guys? Like, do you look at the new album as you mentioned before, Charlotte, like a balanced work of art? Is it still an album, or it becomes more of a collection of singles? And is that something you would like to do more of?
No, I think for us, we definitely take it as an album. Like, we wrote all the songs over a period of time. We recorded everything within 3 weeks. And then when we decide to record another album, then we will start record for that album. So an album for us is like a picture of a moment in time for the 5 of us.
Right.
And the fact that we release it over like so many singles, I think it first has to do with that the queuing to release the vinyl was so long that we just had to keep releasing singles to keep the momentum going.
When I cannot seem to shake you, I will leave the rest behind.
Maybe Joakim, just to ask you, coming into this band, what's more fun with these guys? Playing music with them or playing poker with them?
I'd say play music, but then we play poker after the shows.
Going more and more as a band into acting, is that something you'd love to do? We saw some Oscar-worthy portrayals in that music video.
Yes.
Yeah. I think both me and Arnau, we play quite a lot of poker. Or we used to. Now we haven't done it in a while. But I think all of us like board games in general, and poker is one of them.
Hold tight, hold tight.
And maybe you'll play a lot of poker on, late nights in airports and on vans and what have you. But what at this point can you share with us when it comes to live shows that you're planning?
Question for Arnau, sorry.
No. Okay. So we're gonna do 2 release shows here in Sweden, in Stockholm and in Gothenburg, on the 16th and 17th of December. And then in spring we're trying to tour quite a lot in Europe. So basically it's gonna be mainly in Spain first, and then we're gonna go to France, Germany, and some neighborhood countries in Central Europe.
Hold tight, hold tight. On time.
Is the focus going to be predominantly on the new material, or with the injection of Joakim now? A first opportunity for many people to rediscover some of the older songs as well, or with played in a different lineup. Are you proactively working on fine-tuning or changing some of those older songs as well to bring to life as a 5-piece?
I think for us it's a focus on getting the best possible live show.
Mm.
That's the
I think that would be the next step, yeah, making more of a show.
Yeah, so, and obviously that will include songs from this new album, a lot of course, but also spanning through all the different singles that we've had so far, and making sure that the songs work nice together to create the best possible rock and roll live gig.
We talked about Judas Priest before. We can keep the California Jam show from 1975 as a shining
a motorcycle on stage.
There you go. A fully chrome motorcycle. I think it would be pretty cool. Fire everywhere. Sounds good. Awesome. As I was saying, personally, I really think it's a great album. I think some of the songs that have not been shared yet as singles are maybe even some of my favorite songs. Although I have to say that the 1-2 punch of the NWOBHM opening of the album really got me going, and I expect that your fans are going to be very happy when this new album is released. Congratulations on a really, really strong album, and I hope that we'll see some announcements, not just in Europe. I don't know, but if you guys want to come over to Canada here or North America in general, we would love to obviously see you here, but otherwise we'll just have to fly to some European festivals maybe and see you there.
We're already used to the snow and everything, so just...
Exactly. Here in Toronto it started snowing 2 days ago, so winter has officially started.
Today, so...
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate talking to you, and I wish you all the best with these release shows and with the release cycle of the new album.
Thank you so much.
Kind words, we appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
You are awesome for watching this video. Click right here to see more content like it and subscribe to the channel.